Welcome back to Beyond the Singularity, where we speculate, percolate, and exasperate all things science fiction. I'm your host, Kyle Culver, gaming as Diabetic Gamer, and you are listening to Episode 3. You may know my next guest from his wacky and fun Let's Plays of No Man's Sky, including other games. LPlays Gaming is on YouTube by the same name and has been a joy to watch. He streams regularly, so there's always something to appease not only your No Man's Sky appetite, but also help keep a smile on your face. His genuine glee of the game and gaming in general has been the attraction of thousands of viewers, including myself. I absolutely love his take on the game, always looking on the brighter side of things. It's important to be surrounded by positivity these days, and I know LPlays is one of those guys. We talk about his channel, why he started his Let's Plays series, the Atlas Rises update, his skepticism before jumping into Waking Titan, and some of his memorable moments.
What made you want to get into No Man's Sky and into sharing these videos?
So No Man's Sky, so I started originally doing like a bunch of other random games. It was just one of those things that I thought, I always enjoyed watching other people play games, and I was like obviously massive into gaming myself, and I kind of thought, I feel like I could do that, so why not give it a go, see if I enjoyed it. And I did really enjoy doing it, and then I was playing all kinds of games for a while. And No Man's Sky was one of those games, I think I was like everybody else. When I started to hear about No Man's Sky, at first I was like, this is going to be the best thing that's like ever happened in gaming. I was super excited. Yeah. And then like the more and more trailers I saw, and like this was like before it launched, I kind of got a bit skeptical. I was like, oh, I don't know if it's going to actually be like, there's no way it can really be this like amazing. And I was working away a lot of the time as well, so I kind of ended up just like losing my way with it, and I stopped following it for a while. And then when the whole launch stuff happened, I kind of missed out on all of that, so I didn't realize how much of a game. So I kind of like just quietly missed out, ignored it for a while, and then I ended up getting the game for Christmas last year. So I started playing it in January, and I thought this would be a great thing to upload on my channel, see if people enjoy it. And at the time, I wasn't really expecting like too much from it. I was kind of like, oh, it'll be a short series. I'll give it a go and then see how it goes. And within like the first couple of episodes of me playing it, I was terrible at it completely. But I was like, this is just, it's a game that's like nothing else exists like this, like that feeling of just being able to explore. So it's kind of like you can just go to world after world after world. And it just, I don't know, there was a long time in the beginning because obviously it started to become quite popular on my channel. And when that first started to happen, I did get a little bit worried. I was like, what happens like one day if like this is going to get old, I'm going to get bored of it, I'm going to want to move on to something else. And it kind of just never has. It's kind of just kept me hooked and kept me like going back to it ever since, to the point where now it's like I'll record a few other things, but it's like all I want to really do is play some No Man's Sky. So when I'm doing that, that's what I really enjoy doing. So it's kind of how I stumbled into it and then was hooked from the first time I played it.
I think I love your reactions, especially to all the creatures, because every time you see something new and different, it's like, oh my god, look at this little jibber, oh my god.
Yeah, I'm guessing some people probably find that a bit jarring to watch, but I think a lot of people do kind of enjoy it. And it's one of those things, like when I play games in general, I kind of like, obviously in my natural sort of like real life, I've got quite a serious job and stuff. I have to be quite adult-ish. Okay. So when I get home to like play games, that's kind of when I can just like go back to being like a kid again and just have like pure fun. And No Man's Sky is like so good at capturing that, like more than any other game does. And it's just like, it is so exciting because like whenever I go onto a planet, I'm like almost a bit tense. I'm like, what am I going to find? Like, what's it going to be? And some of the stuff that I see is just like, I've had pretty good luck as well with like some of the stuff that I found. And it is like, it's one of those games that you do always see new stuff, so it stays really fresh and exciting. And I think that's why I've enjoyed it so much, and why people have liked watching me, because like I genuinely get excited about stuff in the game, and people are happy to see that.
Dude, people love watching you. I think it's because of that enthusiasm that people just love the crap out of it.
I think I had like one guy comment, which I actually found quite hilarious. He was like, I enjoy watching you play No Man's Sky more than I enjoy playing it. And I was just like, that's pretty funny, like praise to get. But I was like, it's a great game, so you better not be saying anything bad. But yeah, it is good fun.
sometimes, you know, I feel the same way. Like, you know what? I need to laugh a little bit because, you know, you're out in this universe, you're all alone. Sometimes you land on an eerie planet and it's just like, oh my God, what's going on here? Just go watch LPlays. You're fine.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
It seems like you don't really have any kind of expectation when landing on a planet, like you said, just kind of jumping into it like a kid. You seem to harness this kind of innocence that just isn't out there anymore for games, just in general. Just to jump into a game without knowing anything, or a planet, I should say. Jumping onto a planet, not really knowing what's there, and not really having that expectation of, are there Diplos? There need to be long-necked creatures in order for me to like this planet. You know?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think especially with 1.3 now, because there's obviously so everyone has like a spell where they're going for a couple of planets that are not as interesting or exciting and stuff. So my big thing is when I find one that doesn't have any creatures at all, like if it's an okay planet but there's no creatures, I'm normally a bit like, oh man. But then even then, like there's a couple. I found like a really beautiful like pink fairy tale type planet, and it didn't have a single creature on it, and it was kind of like I ended up staying there like longer than any of the planets I'd ever been on, just because it was like so beautiful. And that's the thing, is like it can be like so random. Like even the things you think this is the kind of planet that in my mind I know is my favorite kind, you always find stuff that you're like, cool, even though it's not like what I thought I wanted to see. So it's definitely, the game helps with that. There's a lot of possibility there to keep it fresh and keep it exciting, whichever kind of planet you land on, which is kind of cool. And 1.3, obviously, even with the new textures and stuff, even like some of the barren planets look incredible now.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I'm getting excited about looking at the textures on a rock or a tree, and I've got people in the comments like, dude, it's a tree. I'm like, but look at it. It looks so good. So yeah, I'm definitely really enjoying it at the moment.
Yeah, it is fantastic. The update, one after another, really. Each one just getting better and better. There's talks of the 1.33 patch, but and this kind of breaks down the whole expectation talk I just had. But what do you think the next update is going to have?
So this one honestly kind of completely, like I thought, you know, like in my predictions and stuff, I was thinking the big thing that was going to come to this one, I thought there'd some tweaks and some refinements to the procedural generation and stuff like that. Standard stuff, you know, like a slight graphical upgrade, as we've kind of seen with others, maybe some lighting improvements or something like that. And then I was like, you're going to have your one big feature. So with like Pathfinder, it was the vehicles and stuff. With Foundation, it was bases. So for this one, I was like, we kind of knew portals in some way were going to be involved. So I was like, okay, that's going to be a big thing. And then you'll have some cool little tweaks. And then it's just like, boom, 30 hours of story, a whole mission system, economies, graphics, everything you could ever dream of, completely overhauled, like the UI, just so much new, the terrain editor. And it's just like, how do you plan for like what's going to come next? I think definitely probably a safe bet is that they've kind of told us already they're going to continue to flesh out the multiplayer. That's very much like the basics at the moment, the start of that. So yeah, I definitely think we're going to see that continue to improve over the next few. But I really like, at this point, I'm kind of like, I have no idea, because this one blew me away so much. There was no way, like I was one of the people that was kind of, I did a couple of like Waking Titan videos. My thing throughout the whole thing was like, look, we know portals is going to be something happens with that. We don't know what. I was a bit worried. I was like trying to tell people, don't get too excited. It's fun to speculate and think what we want in the game, but don't get like too carried away. Worst case is going to be similar to the last two. Best case is going to be, you know, a bit better than that. And then obviously it was like 100 times that. It was just out of nowhere. So
I appreciate that approach of, okay guys, calm down, like let's just, you know, keep our heads, because some people out there are just like,
it was fantastic when it did drop, of course, and it was just like, whoa.
Okay, now you can lose your shit.
Yeah, it was kind of like, it was like one of those moments where a lot of people were like, this is everything they ever promised and extra stuff, like they've done it now. And that was pretty awesome to see. Even like some of the people that were obviously been quite negative about the game, you're starting to see a few more people come around now and be like, oh yeah, you know, it's taken a year, but they've kind of given me everything I ever in from the beginning of stuff. So it is quite nice to see that almost like a comeback story. Obviously, we've loved it all along, but
Of course.
it's nice. Some other people are coming back and appreciate it, which is,
and that's great.
I mean, that's quite impressive. Yeah, impressive thing.
on the lines of Waking Titan, where did you even hear about that?
So this was I'm starting to think, like, I'm quite positive in my videos, but I'm starting to think in real life maybe I'm far too skeptical, because this was like another one of those things. Like, I started to hear about it quite a lot on Twitter. I think it was like the first place, and then there's like, from Twitter I got pointed to some stuff that was happening on Reddit. People saying Reddit mods had started receiving the tape. So it was like when people were getting the tapes, like a couple had already been received and stuff. It was before Cobra had got his tape.
Right.
So I was kind of like hearing about these tapes, hearing about people making the connection, like something's going on. Like, it was kind of before it actually got properly linked into the ARG, but it's like
Right.
something is going on from Hello Games. And honestly, for quite a while, I was kind of like, I don't know any. I wasn't really big on Reddit. I'd kind of never really used it until all of this started. So I was kind of like, I don't really know. Like, do we trust these people? Like, do I believe that this is Hello Games? I was like, because obviously Hello Games has been silent like all the time for like all of their updates and stuff. So I was kind of like, say something. I don't want to get like, and especially I feel like doing videos on stuff, I feel like you've got to be careful with that. I didn't want to fuel any of that, and then like it turns out this was all fake or something. And I say that like I was waiting for hard evidence, but then it kind of when Cobra got his tape. He's one of the channels that I'd followed for quite a long time. So when he got his tape and he showed the box and the return address was like on there and everything, and it was kind of like, yeah, you could still fake that, but he was like someone I'd followed for quite a long time, so I trusted.
Yeah.
When he got his, I was like, okay, I believe this now. So from that like moment when he got his tape and I saw that video, I was like, I'm all in. I'm gonna find out everything that's going on. And that's when I found out like the eTark site. Started going on all the Reddit stuff. Later on, I ended up joining some of the Discord stuff, but I was more kind of like quiet in that one. But yeah, I kind of like from that point, that's when I like jumped onto it, and I was like, really exciting.
So you jumped head in, and you were like, okay, I'm going to figure this all out with you guys. Was that it?
That was what I was thinking. And obviously puzzles, and you're like, okay, right, let's sit down and do this. And then it was like 5 minutes later, they've all been solved, and you're like, oh, well, damn. So I definitely didn't solve anything first before anyone else. But I was right there following along, especially on eTark. I think that was the main. eTark and Twitter were kind of the main ones that I stuck to most of the time, and they were super quick at figuring stuff out. Like, you had people within like a couple of minutes for most of the stuff they were figuring out.
Yeah.
If they didn't have the answer, they knew like what we had to do to get the answer.
I talked to several people who were getting their PhDs in certain areas of like science and whatnot, and I'm like, okay, well, you guys take care of that.
I'll take your word. Yeah, whatever you say. But that's why it was really cool when they started doing the more individual stuff, like, and everyone was getting involved. So when it was stuff like go and take a picture of like an instrument or something in your street, when it was like everyone got the decoder rings and stuff, like that was really cool, because it was kind of like, because that was like away, I knew it wasn't we didn't have to do this immediately or we were out kind of thing. It wasn't like one person gets the answer and it's all over. I kind of was like, I can take some time with my decoder rings. I didn't have a printer, so I had to like put them in paint and like twist them around to make it work and stuff. So it was like I could do that and like take my time to figure out most of the puzzles for myself. So it was like, obviously I was way behind when the internet had already got the answers, but I did get a chance to actually do it on my own. So it was kind of good to be like, oh, I actually did manage to get some of these without help. And then go back and be like, oh yeah, I got them right.
Kind of divorced yourself from the from all the buzz for a second.
For a while. Yeah. Exactly that. So it's like whenever there was one that came up, and I was kind of like, there was some that I was like, yeah, I don't even know where to start on these. So I was kind of like keeping an eye on. But then a lot of the basic decoder ones and stuff like that, I was like, yeah, I can do this. So I'll go and do that on my own and figure it out, and then I'll join back in once I've got the answer. So yeah, that was really cool. That helped me to kind of and get back into it. So yeah, it was really cool.
So did you have any so you came in just after Cobra received his tape, and that I think was like sequence 2 or 3 in phase 1.
It was definitely back in phase 1. Yeah.
Did you have any?
That was kind of cool.
Did you have any other kind of favorite moments that happened? I know you mentioned Cobra, the decoder rings.
Yeah. So I think the The New York live drop stuff where people like went into the rooms and they were streaming on Twitch. That was quite cool because obviously the big thing throughout all of this was that's when I started to realize like how big the No Man's Sky community was, and it kind of makes you get involved a bit more rather than like doing your own thing on your own channel. You all kind of get together to figure it out. So I was like interacting more with people like Cobra, people like DM21 Gaming and stuff. And it was like then when I saw some of those guys getting involved in like the actual stuff in New York, I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like this person, but like I'm speak to them like we're part of the same community and stuff. And now I'm seeing them go like in real life, being there with like Alison Smith running all this stuff and like solving the puzzles for everyone. And that was really cool. And obviously while they were doing that, it was all like being fed back to all of our separate groups on the internet, and people were like helping them solve the puzzles. So yeah, that was pretty awesome to see that happen.
The planning that goes into something like that, I can't even imagine.
It's insane. So there were like people say so. It was quite funny. There were quite a few people coming in that were fans of ARGs rather than fans of No Man's Sky, and so there were like people coming in that just loved doing these kind of internet puzzle things that ended up like getting drawn into No Man's Sky, and they were saying like this is one of the like better ones they've seen and stuff. And I was just like, it's insane, like it's crazy. And obviously at first we didn't know that there was Alison Smith like behind organizing it all. I was kind of like how are Hello Games doing this like at the same time as doing an update and stuff? I was like, what this is crazy. But yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah, I think they said this was their biggest ARG to date, and
yeah,
it's pretty obvious because when you look at all the stuff that they've been doing since phase 1 all the way through phase 3, they've had multiple websites. They probably have their own server for this thing to be going on. The amount of time and effort that goes into those websites, the design, the stock photos, the writing, the coding, and then going into things like the live drop and making sure someone's there, that things are done smoothly.
Yeah, you've got to have like a pretty sizable group of people working on that from like not just when it's going as well, but like the months of effort that must have gone in beforehand to get it all ready. And it's like it must be like I kind of like the bit that blows my mind about all that is like there's stuff that will happen that you like they don't know how long it's going to take, they don't know if it's going to work. Like when they send the tapes out, like what if nobody bothers sharing them? It's like there's a lot that's like they have to kind of plan. I guess they probably have like backup plans for some of the stuff, and like some of the puzzles that we got wrong and stuff on the mazes or whatever, like they have to have a backup or a way for it to still carry on and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely, I wouldn't want to be the one having to organize all of that, that's for sure. But they've done a great job. So.
The IQs have to be through the roof.
Crazy.
So what's your takeaway from Waking Titan? We, through phases 1 to 3, and then we finally get that final letter from Sean saying, here's the update. This is what we've been doing. Look for more. And then we get the update.
Yeah.
I think, how did you feel once you saw that email that said Waking Titan is over?
So when I saw that, I was like, so I was a bit late on that as well, actually. So I think I can't remember if I was at work or like I might have even been recording or something. And then like it was like, oh, it's finished. It's all happening. And I was like, oh god, I have to like find out what's happened. But it was really cool seeing the email obviously and obviously when it said S.M, like when it was really nice to kind of. There was a lot of stuff in there that was kind of like a subtle understanding of there are some things we probably don't think we got right, or there's some things that have happened around all the negativity and we're trying to like really correct that. And it was really cool to kind of see them come out and for the first time basically say, we've been working like crazy to give you this update. It's kind of, it's going to be amazing. And it was like even then I was like, okay, cool. They're saying they're going to try and communicate more. Hopefully they're going to keep doing it through like the ARG and cool stuff like that. So I find that way more interesting than just a developer coming out and being like, here's our next update that's coming in 5 months. I thought this was actually really cool. And it's definitely not something I would have thought I'd have got involved in before, but it's been a hell of a lot of fun. But yeah, like seeing all that and kind of seeing them say, listening, we've been working on this, like, this is why we've been quiet and they kind of had to, right? So I think there was something mentioned, I don't know if it was in that one or one of the others, where they said something like, Our actions are far more important, or like what we do is far more important than what we say. And I was kind of like, that got me so hyped because I was like, they know what they're making here is going to be good. Like for them to say that, I was like, okay, they're like pretty sure that, yeah, they've not said a word, but this is gonna answer all of that. And then obviously when the update dropped, I was super excited, of course, like through the whole thing. And I was, because I've always enjoyed the game, like anyway, I wasn't too worried. I was kind of like, whatever they bring, even if it ends up being a little bit underwhelming, it's not going to make the game worse in any way. You know, it's going to be, even if it's like a small couple of improvements, it's still going to be like, I love this game, now it's a little bit better kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then when it did drop, like I said, like when I saw like that list, the patch notes list, I was just going through it. I was like, wow, like where does this stop? Like there's so much stuff. And it was all big stuff, like a 30-hour story. I just like that completely blew my mind.
I'm still
that was something I did not. Yeah, I'm like just getting into it at the moment on my channel, so it's like that's crazy. And it's one of those things like you always see people moaning about like, oh, it's not worth the full price for a game and stuff. And I always found that so weird. So I was like, the amount of time I've spent in this game like dwarfs any other game that I've played like by miles. And that's like before this. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've put so many hours into it and I'm still having so much fun. And I'm like, for me, that's worth like, you know, if they'd have, looking back, if I'd have known how much I was going to enjoy it and you'd have told me at the time you can't have this unless you pay 100 quid, I'd have been like, oh, that's, you know, that's a bit high, but yeah, I'm totally going to do it kind of thing. Like it's worth every penny. And then like adding in a 30-hour story, like most games nowadays don't have a 30-hour story unless it's like a lengthy RPG or something. Most games don't have a story that long. And still like just cool extra stuff, right? The core game for me is what's fun. So having this 30-hour story on top of that is just like, wow, like we've got a whole other game now in our game that I already liked.
Oh yeah.
So it's just like, it's crazy. It's so good.
Now what I like about the game and what has been implemented into this 1.3 Atlas Rises is the fact that they have taken the community from the Waking Titan aspect and have implemented the community into the game. Did you see that?
So I don't know how, I've not got too far through the story, but I've seen a lot of the stuff about them saying like our decisions and how we responded to stuff throughout the ARG is going to affect like what's in the game. The thought of that, like, so I'm very early on in the story, so I don't know how any of it goes at all. I'm trying really hard to like avoid any spoilers on it. But it's like, yeah, the fact that like the choices and stuff we made and the answers and stuff we were choosing and the things we were voting on, that's going to actually impact the game in some way. It's just like, that's so awesome, right? That's crazy.
That is crazy. It's crazy. They're running parallel to each other. They each have their story. I think I'm making a video right now mentioning this, but the ARG is the present, and we're the ones creating Atlas, right? And then No Man's Sky is the future and is the results and consequences of everything. And so I kind of wonder, is No Man's Sky predetermined because of our actions now, or can we change the game throughout this ARG moving forward now?
Yeah, see, that's crazy as well. And it's like, I guess, I don't know how it all wraps up, but I guess there's still more lore, more story later on as well, right?
Oh,
so
totally. There's still like
they might have like our answers so far might have given us what they've given us now, but then it's like we know the ARG is still happening, right? Which is like the other. No one knows what's happening next with that. I'm still waiting for my Atlas V4 pass.
With the rest of us.
If I get that in the post, that's going to be like the coolest. I'm such a sucker for like all of the merch kind of stuff.
I noticed. I saw your unboxing for the PS4 limited edition.
So I did the limited edition. I got the press kit, so I actually like managed to track down and get hold of one of the like super limited like press kits they sent out to obviously like way bigger companies and stuff than any of us. But it was like super cool to get that. That was really cool actually. So that was in there like from the team and like how much at the time their passion and their hopes and dreams and stuff were riding on the game. And I think a lot of people missed that side of it with everything that happened. But yeah, it was anything like that. So I've got a Steam copy which I'm saving for when I build my next PC.
Okay.
I've got a regular copy on PS4, which was the first one that got me into it for Christmas. I've got the limited edition, and I've got the press kit edition. I think that's
four.
So well, at the moment. That's what
At the moment.
Well, I'm still. So I didn't realize as well. So the press kit, the actual disc, is different. So I'm still trying to figure out if it's just a regional difference in the discs, or if it's the press kit disc looks completely different to the other two versions of the disc that I've got. So I don't know if that's a special one just for the press kit, but it looks pretty good.
I think it is. It's a completely different copy of the game altogether.
Yeah, and so the press kits obviously came out in a few different regions and countries. So I'm kind of looking at those every now and again to see how much they're costing at the moment. I don't know what I'm gonna do with like a Belgian copy or something, but they're like different color cases, so it's kind of like,
oh, that's cool.
I still kind of want to get all of them, even if they're just gonna sit on a shelf and look pretty.
Of course, yeah. Well, as soon as that does happen, I'm gonna have to interview you again.
Yeah, for sure.
So now that you know that Waking Titan was part of No Man's Sky, I'm guessing you're going to be following this ARG
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So right from when I realized, when Cobra Guy's tape, when I realized that was an actual thing, I was like, I'd never heard of an ARG at all. I had to like Google what it meant and stuff.
You and me both.
Yeah. And now I'm like a veteran. I'm like, yeah, I know everything there is. But yeah, it's just a really cool thing. And the big thing with No Man's Sky as well, even before all of this, places like Twitter and stuff, the community there has always been a very cool community. You know, people want to see like your photo mode was a huge one, right? When photo mode happened, and everyone was like going crazy, sharing pictures all the time. That became like a huge thing on Twitter. Like people started talking to each other, following each other, like making connections through like seeing the cool stuff that you guys are seeing, and that like the update and before the ARG, all that kind of side of things was like, I already knew the community was a very positive one, which when you think about all the stuff the game has been through and in like the mainstream, that was already awesome, right? Yeah. And now this has just like amplified that and made it even more so. So yeah, it's definitely want to stick with it.
That's one reason why I stuck around for so long. I see now. I didn't realize the amount of community that's behind this game when I first started playing. I started trying doing my own thing. I was looking. I don't think I was really looking in the right places. I saw Cobra. I saw some other YouTubers, but I didn't actually realize there were other communities like the Facebook pages, the groups, and the everybody on Twitter, a bunch of other YouTubers. I don't even think I saw you at that point. Because you hadn't started yet. That's why. So I didn't start until January. So January is when I uploaded my first ever No Man's Sky video. And obviously, like back then at the time, like, I wasn't like looking for the community or anything like that. It was kind of just like, at the time, I'm just going to try this game, see if people are going to like it. And then I ended up loving it, and it ended up doing well, and it kind of just grew and grew and grew from there. But yeah, like when I started playing it, like because I'd kind of like heard. Like in the mainstream, it hadn't gone down so well, so I wasn't expecting much from it. But I was the same. If you'd have like told me back then, like how awesome or how big like the No Man's Sky community still is in the background, and it's like we just don't care about like, all that stuff, right? Let people like moan whatever. But there's like a great group of people that are just enjoying the game and having a great time, and it's that's pretty awesome. That is. I mean, it's been the only community that I've ever really pursued and tried to connect with. I think having Emily from Waking Titan kind of call my channel out at the very beginning helped a little bit, because then I was kind of like, oh, now I'm like forced to keep doing these recaps.
Pressure's on now. That's it.
Yeah. Welcome to the ARG, Kyle.
Well, that was the thing. So obviously, all of your update videos were like super high quality and stuff at the time. So there's like obviously everyone has their own like unique style of doing stuff. Yep. But yours were kind of like a finished news product kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's pretty, I'm glad that you got like props for that. That's pretty cool. But that was another awesome thing they were doing like all the way throughout as well. Cause obviously they don't want to break immersion, but they were still giving out like little nods and shout outs to various people. I'm glad you did do it. So, but yeah, it's pretty
But
cool.
thank you. I appreciate the compliments. Thank you. Well, I think that's going to wrap up the interview for now. I really appreciate you taking some time to talk about No Man's Sky, Waking Titan. And I would definitely, yeah. In fact, you were one of the first people I thought of when I was like, who am I going to interview for this? It's got to be L. It's LPlays. Yes.
Yeah.
LPlays Gaming is on YouTube and Twitter as L, that's the letter L, Plays Gaming. If you are in need of a little bit of a smile or some kind of entertainment to lift your spirits, go check him out. Because his work does that. It just makes me smile. It just makes me happy. A special thanks to JayKob, who provided the music for this episode. And until next time, we'll see you beyond the Singularity, travelers.